Well, hello. How is everybody today? I am excited to see everybody. Um, uh, I'm excited with the content that I'm able to share with you guys. I think I'm going to go maybe. Let's see here. Yeah, I like that one. That looked a little bit better. So, welcome. It is Thursday, July 2nd. Well, we're 1 minute away from actual start time of 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. Consistency is always a good thing. Hopefully you guys have seen the consistency on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 o'clock of either having an interview of an industry leader, but also on Thursdays doing some real estate training. And so I'm excited about the material that I have today. And one is the 5 referral mindsets. Then we're going to switch over. We're going to talk about the real estate timing analysis. Last week, we talked about the real estate highest price analysis, which was, if you remember right, the real estate highest price analysis was a combination of a CMA and the real estate timing analysis. So I'm going to share with you the timing analysis, and then how to propose a get-together. So what if they say, yes, come on over, what should you do? How should you prepare for that appointment? And then preparing for the one-stop listing appointment. Believe it or not, there are some real estate agents that when they're invited to come over to actually list the home that are two-stoppers. How many of you are two-stoppers? We'll get to that here shortly. But again, let's go ahead and dive into the material, and let me see what we got here. Let me go ahead and reduce that, bring this up. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is the 5 referral mindsets. So mindset number one is deepen your commitment to referrals. And kind of what that, just to kind of lay that out on what that means to me, is if you're committed to making referrals the purpose of your business, then you won't wait for the right circumstances to show themselves. You will become a student of the school of referrals. In other words, you will build your life around doing business by referral. Okay. So again, you're not going to do all of your business, but you're basically saying at some point in your career, whether it's now or in the future, that you want your business to be majority referrals. And I'll tell you, because we have a real estate business that is majority our referrals, it's you make more money. It's more fun. When I say make more money, you get less. It's not that you don't get some people that ask you to reduce your commission, because you're going to get that. But at the same time, you're less likely to get that when you're working with somebody who's a referral or somebody who's within your database already that you've been nurturing. So keep that in mind. And then also consider that the reason you're really in business is to create an experience that people are so outrageously happy with, that all they want to do is refer you or introduce you to the people that they care about. So think about that. I mean, every time you go in, whether it's, somebody who's thinking about buying and selling, and they need a resource, whether it's a plumber, an electrician, a deck, need to get carpet stretched, carpet cleaning, whatever, doesn't matter what it is, but you're that resource. You become that resource to your sphere of influence, and you're helping people before they need help, meaning selling their home. But also too, if you're in people's lives continuously over time, consistently and continuously over time, you're going to just naturally get referrals. You're going to naturally get they're going to want to do business with you when they're ready to sell their home. So, and then mindset number 2, develop a referable consciousness. Kind of goes here, right? So tell the truth no matter what, right? Because at this point, if you don't, I mean, we're all adults here, right? So what's the point? I mean, I really don't know. I mean, that one there is just self-explanatory, because I mean, if you deal with your kids and they don't tell you the truth, and then you find out that they lied to you from a standpoint of how is that one going to make you feel? And then how are you going to feel about that in your kids or anybody else who does lie to you and you find out later on that they did lie to you? So be conscious about being on time no matter what. Obviously, do what you say you're going to do, sometimes more, just never less. Under promise, over deliver. Just kind of know what your schedule is, get used to it. You don't need to overcommit to people. If you can't do something, then say you can't do it or try to find an alternative of being able to do it. But you always want to be that person that is on time and does what they say you're going to do. Consciously becoming more interested in others than trying to be interesting. So again, you doing more listening than actual talking. And when I first heard this concept of being more interested in the other person and what they're doing, and that's literally just by asking questions about them, going deep with the questions, you're asking open-ended questions, that type of stuff. So consciously increasing your acknowledgement of people and going the extra mile. Saying thank you often, obviously, is an acknowledgement of people, telling people how much you care about them, what they mean to you, and that type of stuff. Patting people on the back is always a huge thing. I'm one that loves to be patted on the back. Well, I guess I do need it. I do love it. So going the extra mile. Just a classic example, my wife, Linda, listed a house the other day. It probably under price of what it's going to sell for. I think actually today we listed it on Monday. We went and power washed the outside of the house, and then she went and bought 10 bags of mulch and mulched it up without really, just to make the house look better, even though it's really not going to probably sell for any more money. It's just the idea of it's our listing, our name is on it, and also too that we want to go that extra mile to take care of the clients, to earn the commission that we are asking for. So anyhow, going the extra mile all the time to let people know how much you appreciate them. Be conscious enough to quickly admit when you're wrong. This is, again, you teach what you need to know the most, right? So this is me teaching you. Admit when you're wrong. It's not a bad thing. Actually, it works in your favor when you do. And then being conscious enough to say please and thank you more frequently. That's what we teach our kids, right? So why shouldn't we do it? So, all right, let's go on to number 3. Build character and integrity. That's always a good thing, isn't it? Wouldn't that be a good referral mindset? When your purpose and your boundaries are clear, it's easier to make good decisions because your character and your integrity guides and simplifies your choices like the point of true north on a compass. This to me also too is having a set of core values, right? So one of our core values is to, I said it earlier, do what you say you're going to do, sometimes more, just never less. That goes with that concept of under promise, over deliver. We live by the get by giving philosophy, making our clients' number one goal, really understanding what their goal is. So making our clients' number one goal, our number one goal. And, so those are just some good things to live by. And if you let people know that you have core values and what they are, I think they typically, the majority of people think it's kind of cool. So number 4 mindset is rise above your fears of asking for referrals. So a lot of times people are, they just don't want to ask somebody for help. Some people think that that's a sign of weakness. It thinks that we're being pushy or that, whatever it is, however that mindset works, it's actually, you need to rise above how you're thinking about that in order to get some good referrals and also introductions. So fear occurs when you ask for a referral from a place of weakness. And I think that when I look at a place of weakness, I just think that you just haven't been, you're never going to go to anybody and you're going to ask somebody for a referral that you haven't been in contact with, that you haven't brought some kind of value to. Fear occurs when you haven't yet planted the seeds for the referral. So again, going through everybody who's in your database, anybody that you meet, eventually asking them that question. Hey, if you knew somebody who was thinking about buying or selling real estate, would you feel comfortable in referring me or introducing me, whichever you feel comfortable with? I feel more comfortable with introducing. Some people want to ask for a referral. I just think that it's easier for somebody to picture in their mind an introduction versus picturing in their mind a referral. Fear occurs when you ask for a referral before you ask for comfort, right? Again, just making sure that whoever you're with, that they're comfortable with you, they understand what you do for a living. But again, they know and like you as well is a huge place to come from when you're asking for a referral. Fear occurs when your conscious programming is stacked with limiting beliefs. So again, it's thinking scarcity versus abundance. And so I just think that from a standpoint of when, at the end of the day, if you're doing all the right things, if you're making people feel good about themselves, if you're staying in contact with people, if you're giving your database valuable information week after week after week through mailing them, emailing them, calling them, and just offering value to them, you're going to have a different type of mindset about getting an introduction or getting a referral from them. So number 5 is referral mastery is about making others feel good, right? And when you make others feel good, we feel good, right? So the number one reason people recommend people that they care about is because it makes them feel good. So if somebody's going to recommend you or call you and say, hey, so-and-so's thinking about buying a house, well, it's because they feel good that they're helping their friend, right? And also they're helping you because it's obviously at the end of the day, it's putting money in your pocket. Whenever you're working with people, your intention should always be to have them feel good when they're with you, right? So when they're with you, what can you do? I don't know, maybe not gossip, maybe not complain, maybe talk positive about things. How are you feeling today? I'm absolutely fantastic. Whatever the case may be, you're upbeat, you're positive. That's who people want to hang out with, and that's who people want to do business with. So, all right. So last week we talked about the lead to appointment converter, right? And the first step in the lead to appointment converter was find out, ooh, I just spelled that wrong, but it's find out what is missing, right? So that's the first thing. And the way that you're doing that is when you're making a phone call and you're starting to ask those open-ended questions, you're trying to find out what would be a hot button, what would be a fair trade for you to be able to go over to the house, right? And it may just be that they're in the thinking process and they're not ready to stick a sign in their yard. So it may be a report or a checklist of things that they can do to their house to get it to a selling, what am I trying to think here? Get it to a point to where they're going to put a sign in the yard. And also they can do things to it that are going to add value to it. And then once we did that, we introduced what was missing, right? So last week we talked about the highest price analysis. And, highest price analysis was an aerial view look of all the homes that have sold, all the homes that are currently on the market, all the homes that have currently gotten currently gotten offers accepted. And so when we take all that information and we compare it to your home and we find other homes that are 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2-car garages, that way we kind of know what we're going to price your home at. So that way you don't leave any potential money on the table. Would something like that be of value to you? They're going to say yes, then you're going to try to get over to the house. This week, I'm going to share with you the timing analysis, which goes with the highest price analysis. And basically the timing analysis is the aerial view look of all the segments of time that it takes for you, the seller, to get your home sold. So again, introducing another, what we like to call fair trade or hot buttons, is the real estate timing analysis. And to me, I'm going to show you a tool, which is, let's go through this here. So what it is, it's a bird's eye view of the various times that are affected in the real estate transaction, and it helps you plan the timing of your decision to avoid selling too quickly or having to change your plans when it doesn't sell when you need it to. So would something like that be a value? So you're introducing, and then would something like that be a value? You're closing on them. Okay. So again, a timing analysis, this is the words, this is exactly what to say. This is the step by step, but at the same time, you make the words. I mean, we can sit here and say what a timing analysis is, Mr. Seller, is it's an aerial view look. It's a fly in the sky look of all the segments of time that it takes to get your home sold. So really understanding the timing of getting your home prepared, listed, and on the market and negotiated for a deal by the time we get it to closing is going to be able to give you a better idea of the process and when you should start, so that you don't end up possibly losing, tens of thousands of dollars. Would something like that be a value? Again, it's just another description of what it is. So, so I have this tool that you can use, and but typically what you're using a yellow pad. That is the best tool that a salesman could use, or a salesperson could use, is a yellow pad, because when you're going through this, you're actually coming up with it together. Okay. So when you look at this and you say, all right, so you're talking to a client and they say, you know what, we want to wait 60 days. Okay. So they want to wait 60 days. So today's date is 7/2/2020. So it's July 2nd. They want to wait 60 days. So you're basically looking at that when you're ready to stick a sign in the yard, it's going to be September 2nd, 2020. Kids are going to be, in their second or third week back to school. And that's what you're talking about. And the other thing that you want to have with you, or have them bring down, is their family calendar. Typically, most people who have kids have a family calendar hanging somewhere in the house. So if you have that family calendar, and you're not necessarily just talking dates, but you're talking events around the dates. So in 60 days, that's going to put us at September 2nd. Kids are going to probably be in their second or third week in school. Typically at that time, not a lot of people or less people are looking at that time of the year than right now. And then there's marketing time, right? So like right now, the marketing time for your subdivision is 7 days. Okay. We put the house on the market, we market it, we go through showings, we negotiate probably a multiple offer situation depending upon the price range, but that's going to take us to September 9th. And then we have something that's called adjusted marketing time, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. And what that is, now I'm going to come on a role play here, and I'm going to explain to you adjusted marketing time. The way that you describe that is that, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, have you ever seen a house go up on the market for sale by owner, and then the for sale by owner comes out of the yard and the house doesn't sell? And then you see a real estate sign go up in the yard. So, okay, so you've seen that. All right. So have you ever seen a real estate sign go up in the yard, and then that real estate sign comes down, and then another real estate sign goes up, and then nobody has moved yet? You've seen that before. Okay. So have you ever seen a situation where a for sale by owner sign goes up and comes down, then a real estate sign goes up, comes down, and then another real estate sign goes up, comes down? Well, all of that marketing time that it's taking from the time that the seller decided to put the sign in the yard to where it actually got a contract is not accounted for in most MLSs. So we have to account for sale by owners, expireds, and that type of stuff. And so I always look at, typically I double the time of marketing time. So I typically add on 14 days. Now, agent, whoever's watching this video, we're looking at worst case scenario. We're not looking at the best case scenario. Could you get them money in 30 days? Yes. Could you get them money in 2 weeks if it's a cash offer? Yes. But what we're looking at with this tool is, what is the worst case scenario? Okay. So adjusted marketing time is 14 days. So that basically takes us to September. We're not even out of the month of September yet, right? So that takes us to September 23rd. And then processing time. So once we actually get an offer on the home and we negotiate the deal, and now the house goes pending, then it usually takes about 45 days, sometimes longer, for you to actually get your check and close the deal. So we add 45 days on for that. So that takes us to November 7th, right before we went through Halloween, and now we're going into the holidays, which is Thanksgiving and Christmas. So processing time is going to take us to November 7th. That is if we stick a sign in the yard in 2 months versus doing it right now. And so that's 126. You can talk about possession time. Possession time to me, sometimes you give people 3 days to move out. Sometimes it's a little bit longer, all depends. Sometimes it's, possessions the same day of closing. There's a lot of scenarios that can go on there. But basically, you're looking at 126 days or November 7th before you're actually going to get a check. So would you like your check sooner? So are you thinking if you didn't get it November or you get it October, would you rather get your money on November 7th? Well, then my suggestion would be, let's get the ball rolling now, right? So all this does is it gives the sellers an awareness of the timing that it takes. Because most people think that houses are flying off the market in a day or two, which in reality, you're probably getting an offer on them. But in reality, for it to actually get to close where the seller is going to get their money, and there could be problems that come up. Appraisals are taking a little bit longer because of how hot the market is right now. But you're going to have those conversations as you kind of go through this kind of a tool. But again, these types of tools are when you're on the phone and you present them. So would a real estate timing analysis be of value to you? You explain what it is. It's an aerial view look, blah, blah, blah. Would something like that be of value to you? Then you're going to want to, that's going to try to get you the appointment. It's going to try to get you over if they're hesitating on the phone. So a lot of times they just say, come on over and take a look at my house. Whatever, but you may not need this tool. But again, I'm not helping you with those appointments. I'm trying to help you with the appointments that you are having a problem with. So anyhow, so that's the real estate timing analysis. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments, and we'll try to handle those as we go. Let's see what else we got here. What's our next slide? Our next slide is, all right, so you find out what's missing, you introduce what's missing, which could be the timing analysis, and then you're going to propose a get-together. What did I say? Propose a get-together, okay? So this is how we're going to do it. So conversationally, you're going to say these words, okay? Why don't I do this? So if you're on the phone with them and they said, yes, that's something of value. I'd like for you to come over to the house. Or they say, yes, that's something of value. Then you say, well, why don't I do this? I don't mind. Why don't I find a time when I can stop by, take a look at your house. And while I'm there, I can show you the timing analysis, the highest price analysis, the current market analysis. And that way, if you do decide to sell now, at least you'll have a pretty good idea of what your home would be worth or what would be involved in the move. I could see you tonight at 6, or would 7 be better? Okay, that's called the alternative of choice close. You're not giving them, would tonight be good? No. Well, see, they could say no to that. If you give them a choice, typically the idea is that they pick one. But the other thing, so if we kind of rewind a little bit, this is the importance of having a smart week. This is the importance of having times blocked out on when you're going to go on appointments. So I've always suggested that you have a couple times in the afternoon, that you have a couple times in the evening. They're blocked out. You're on call. The whole idea starting Monday is to book those dates. You've had conversations with your family before, so there's no big surprise if you do get booked during those times. And then maybe even book a time on the weekend. So that way you can give them choices versus saying, oh, well, what works for you? I'm wide open, right? That's the non-busy real estate agent, right? All right. So if they say yes, come on over, which is kind of what we want. You're not just gonna drop the phone and not say anything. Or you may say, okay, well, that's great. I'll be over at 6, click, right? What I'm going to train you to do or coach you to do is to keep them on the line and ask them a very simple question. Mr. Seller or Mrs. Seller, whoever you have on the phone, before I let you go, is it okay if I ask you a couple questions, because I've got a little homework to do before I come over to the home? They're going to say, well, yeah, you've already got them on the phone. Okay. So preparing for the one-stop listing appointment. By the way, if you're on, it looks like I've got a couple people on here. If you can type in, and I don't know if you're a one-stopper or a two-stopper. If you're a two-stopper, that's okay. Just type in there a two-stopper, or maybe type in why you're a two-stopper. Why have you always decided to make the listing appointment, that you're going to go over there, you're going to do whatever, and then you're going to then reschedule another appointment, and then you're going to come back? Or are you a one-stopper where you're just going to make one stop and you're going to do the whole appointment and you're going to walk out of there with the listing? So it'd be nice to know if you are a one-stopper or a two-stopper. But we'll continue here. So there's 2 boxes here. They're connected. So if you look at this and you say, all right, so if they say yes, come on over, you've got that first box, which is the lead to appointment converter. So you went through step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 3 was introduce or propose a get together. They have said yes. So now the 2 lines Colleen, you are a well-trained real estate agent. So I'm not surprised that you are a two-stopper. But the 2 lines that are connecting the lead to appoint converter box, and then the next one is basically a series of questions. But the bridge to get to those questions is what I just did earlier. Is, Mr. Seller, before I let you go, I've got some homework to do. Would it be okay if I ask you a couple questions before I come over? They're going to say yes, and then you're going to say, okay, well, what kind of questions are you going to ask? Now, typically when somebody's a two-stopper, what I've always heard 100% of the time is the main reasons why they're two-stoppers is, number 1, they want to go over there and they want to build rapport. And then number 2 is that they want to get enough information so that they can go back and do a comparative market analysis, right? So, but if you ask them questions and you do, and you do this step, right now, you can actually build rapport on the phone, and you can get enough information so that you can do a ballpark market analysis, which is all we do anyway, right? And you're going to come up with a price range, not necessarily a price on what they should list the house for, but you're going to come up with a low and you're going to come up with a high. And then once you do that, you can make adjustments once you get out to the house, right? So what questions are you going to ask when you're on the phone? Well, a couple questions would be around the house, like, is your house located on a corner lot? No, it's on a regular lot. Okay. So have you done any updates to your home? Specifically, have you done any updates to the kitchen? Have you done any updates to the bathroom? Oh, okay. So you've done some updates. So when were these updates done? Oh, well, they were done 15, 20 years ago. Okay. Well, chances are they're going to need to be updated again. Right. But at the same time, you want to kind of go through a series of questions that are going to kind of give you an idea of what the house is. And we all know that we can go on the an assessor's site, or maybe the house has been listed before and it's been in the MLS before, and you might be able to get some information on the home. But at the same time, you're asking questions about the house. How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? How many car garage do you have? How's the mechanics of the home? Furnace, air, hot water heater. How's the roof? Have you ever, we're in a hail state. So has it ever had any hail damage? Gutters, have those been replaced? Have you done any painting to the house? And as you're asking these questions, you're going, ooh, wow, cool. And that is how you start to build rapport over the phone, okay? It's so much better live. But anyhow, that is how you're going to make this a one-stop appointment. And typically, I would say a one-stop. If Colleen, if you're still on, how long does it take you to do a one-stop? How many hours do you schedule for that? So it'd be nice to know. So, so you're going to basically ask a series of questions, and then what I would do is I would type up a bunch of questions that you have in front of you. You have the client's name, the client's address. You're going to ask a bunch of questions while you're over there. Kitchen scale from 1 to 5, 5 being best, 1 being, needs, whatever. How much time do you schedule, Colleen? I know you're a one-stopper. Okay, I'm assuming that's 2 hours. Okay, so that's good. All right, so when I look at ingredients, there are certain ingredients that you're going to need in order to go over. Like the first one is that the decision makers are all there, right? So you want to make sure that typically it's Mr. and Mrs. seller that's there, but also too, if it's an estate sale, you're going to need brothers and sisters. I've had appointments to where they've had 9 siblings. They've had 1 power of attorney, and actually, no, the one I'm thinking of wasn't a power of attorney. Mom was my client, but she wanted all of her kids there. She had 9 kids, good Catholic family. She had 9 kids, and they all had to be there for the appointment that we had. I thought it was like a mafia appointment. I thought I was sitting around. If I said the wrong thing, I was. But anyhow, you want to make sure all the decision makers are there. Why? Because it's just the smart thing to do. Gary, should I go over to the house if all the decision makers aren't going to be there? Well, you can. You absolutely can. Just know, though, you're decreasing the odds of getting a listing that evening if all the decision makers aren't there. And I guarantee you, most of you that have been on several listing appointments, the situation typically comes up to where, they say, no, we don't need all the decision makers there. My husband doesn't be here. My wife doesn't need to be here. I make all the decisions when it comes to the house. Well, that may be the case. But in that situation, the professional, being me, knows, because I've been in the situation too many times, is that at the end of the appointment, you're ready to close, and they say, you know what, this is all great information, but I need to talk to my spouse first. If you're in a divorced situation, you need to make sure both of those spouses are there. You do not want to do one presentation with one and then another presentation with another, because in that type of a situation, you want to make sure they're both hearing the same message from you, okay? And then enough time. So this is what I was talking to Colleen about. She schedules 2 hours, which is great, because you're going to need to be able to build rapport with them. You're going to need to go through your listing presentation. You're going to need to measure up the house. You're going to need to go through all of the paperwork and everything. And that typically takes the professional real estate agent about 2 hours to do that, maybe give or take a little bit longer. So anyhow, that I would schedule enough time, okay? And then ballpark market analysis. Again, you want enough information so that you can do a ballpark market analysis. You're going to make adjustments while you're there at the house. And then you want to know what their price is. What are they thinking about price? How do you get their price? You ask them, what is your price? And they typically, 9 out of 10 times, they will give you the price. Sometimes they'll be a little ornery and they'll say, well, that's the reason why you're coming over. We don't have any idea of what the price is. And you say, okay, well, that's fine. I get it. I completely understand. So why don't we do this? And then you go into the questions. You say, okay, so how's the kitchen? Okay, great. Scale from 1 to 5. Okay, how many bedrooms did you say you had? Oh, okay, great. Have you done any updates on the bedrooms? Maybe any painting, new flooring, any of that type of stuff? Okay, great. So let me ask you this. What are houses in your area selling for? And they're going to say, the one down the street sold for $265,000, but it doesn't have the dog run or the curtains in the bathroom. So which basically what they're saying by that is that they feel that their house is worth more money. So anyhow, However way, you need to know what their price is. So you want to know whether or not you're going to have a battle on price. So if you're coming in and your comps and your comparables and your market analysis is saying 200, but they want 240 for it, well, ding, 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 you got a problem right off the bat. You need to know that when? Well, before you go over to the house. And then motivation, right? What is their motivation? Why are they moving? Is it a strong motivation? Is it a job transfer? All of that type of stuff. You're going to want to know what their motivation is. And then you're going to want to make sure you send a pre-listing packet. So we send just a little booklet over. And actually right now, sorry, my nose is just crazy itchy. We send over a seller's listing packet, which kind of goes over how we're going to work and what the appointment's going to be like and everything else. Okay. So we send that over with, and actually a lot of times we're emailing that to them as well. And with a letter, and basically in the letter, it basically says something like, dear Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I want to thank you for the opportunity of being able to come over and talk to you about your home. I have us down as scheduled for Saturday at 2 p.m. If any emergencies come up, please get a hold of me as soon as possible so that we can reschedule the appointment, not cancel the appointment, reschedule the appointment. And then you're going to go, again, thanks for the opportunity, and then sign it. And then you're going to go PS. I have also attached a property disclosure statement, a lead-based paint disclosure statement for you to take a look at and fill out. And if you have any questions, please jot them down. We'll go over them when I get over to the home. PSS, please have 2 keys available and ready for me when I come over to the house. Why 2 keys? Well, because typically most people don't use the keys to their front door. They typically come in through their garage. And the idea is that when you show up to the house and they give you 2 keys and a filled out property disclosure statement, which takes about 30 to 45 minutes to fill out, depending upon the client, chances are you're going to get the listing. Just so you know. Okay, that's just kind of an assumptive close. And then you want to be prepared, right? So prepared is the right look. Just make sure you dress the part. You want the right stuff. Again, that's everything. Take everything with you. And then you just want the right attitude, right? The right attitude to me has always been, you want to err on the side of cockiness, but you also don't want to be arrogant, right? You just want to be very confident when you go over to the home. So, and you know what? You get confidence when you're prepared to go over. So anyhow, I think maybe next week I'll go over kind of the pre-listing packet that we do. I can share it with you guys as well. We do a pre-listing packet for buyers. We do a pre-listing packet for sellers, just to kind of prepare them for what's actually going to happen during the appointment. So, so if they say no and they hesitate, we're going to handle that next week with a hesitation handler. So I'll cover that next week. So we are running at about 42, 43 minutes into this, and just wanted to go through next week. And if you have any questions, please feel free. We'll stick around a little bit to answer your questions. But next week, I am so excited. On July 7th, our interview is going to be with Greg Mitchell with Mitchell & Associates. He's based out of here in Omaha, Nebraska, but he is an amazing speaker. He is so super smart when it comes to the real estate market. Obviously he is super tuned into what's going on in the state of Nebraska and Iowa and Omaha in general, but around the country, not many things change when it comes to appraisals. So he's going to be able to talk about all things appraisal, and I may even get him to talk about what are some things that that they look at as appraisers that add more value to a home. Not only just what's going on in the market, but what can actually add value to a home. And then next Thursday on the 9th, we're going to handle the hesitation handler. When they say no, I don't want you to come over, ingredients of dialogue selling, and the marketability checklist, which is another hot button. And I think if we have time, I will go over our pre-listing packets on the seller and also our pre-listing packet on the buyer. So again, have an amazing 4th of July weekend. I hope that you guys all celebrate safe, wear your masks, stay 6 feet away from people, and for the love of God, do not sneeze on your friends. Okay, that's just rude. All right, so have an amazing weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace out.